Was Gabriel? Oh, Gabriel.
I'm not sure yet. Let me.
What's his card?
No, that is.
Oh, there he is. That's his little. That's his vanity. That's his vanity.
I ain't finna tell y'all how I got away with this shit.
If I'm more right, that's good business. She look good, but hang with dumb bitches. Tell her I'm way too fly for one sister. And if she leave a priest, I won't miss her. Won't put a ring around it. Oh, no. Bitches for the street like basketball goals. I always knew she'd let that lane hit her. Won't get a cent from me, I ain't simple. Now I ain't gonna work it out. I ain't regular out. No, I ain't gonna work it out. I ain't regular out. You civilian out. Nah, failure out. I ain't gonna work it out. Cause I ain't regular out. We'll put a ring around it. Oh, no. Bitches for the street like basketball goals. I always knew she'd let that lane hit her. Won't get a cent from me, I ain't simple. Bitch, now I ain't gonna work it out. I ain't regular out. No, I ain't gonna work it out. I ain't regular out. You civilian out. Nah, failure out. I ain't gonna work it out. Cause I ain't regular out.
Mute.
Mic
check. You go ahead say something real quick just to make sure.
Mic check.
Lean that way where you just sit comfortably. I just want to see if it'll pick you up.
Mic check.
All right, let me go to our page. Pick you up.
Mic check.
There you go. All right, let me all right, we're in there. All right, let's clap it up for the Lord. Hey, Shalom Israel, with the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, start out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General Yohana. It's the Monday night scripture breakdown class where we do what your Christian pastors are ill-equipped to do. You know what I mean? We break down this Bible and teach Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans their true culture and identity according to the Bible. You know what I mean? That you are the 12 lost tribes of the nation of Israel. I mean, a nation that they want to keep, you know what I mean, to stay lost. I mean, because otherwise, how can Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans understand our condition in this world? I mean, and that's the problem that you see all over the world. Like, oh my God, what is it, February?
February.
Since the new year, I mean, America been catching hell. It's a lot here. The world been catching hell. You know what I mean? And we see in America that, you know what I mean, since the first, you know what I mean, there's been things happening back to back. You got you know what I mean, planes falling out the sky. You got
train.
What is
a train fire?
Train fire?
A train, some people call it a train caught on fire. Killed I think about 30 passengers in the train.
And how long ago was that?
Probably like a week ago.
And you see what I'm saying? Like, what is it? What just last month, you know what I mean? California was just Southern California was just on fire for days. You know what I mean? It looked like literal hell down there. And then the whole time the other end of the US is freezing over. You know what I mean? Places that don't get no snow, or you know what I mean, get minimal snow, ain't seen snow. You know what I mean? All you know what I mean, their whole life they getting, you know what I mean, inches of snow. Right. You know what I mean, getting frozen in and things like that. You got you know what I mean, planes colliding with helicopters and you know what I mean, Trump, you know what I mean, being elected and inaugurated in the office, and then you know what I mean, he signing just I forget how many executive orders he signed his first day as a president. You know what I mean, he was just in there just signing just all sorts of orders. Where now you got my brothers and sisters, the so-called Hispanic brothers and sisters getting what's the word? Getting preyed on by ICE.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And deported.
Yeah, getting deported. And what you don't realize is Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, that all of these things is biblical.
Right.
All of these things is biblical that you're seeing right now. And you know what I mean? Just I believe it was the 7th, you know what I mean, the 7th of February in Cincinnati, you know what I mean, my hometown. There was some, which we already prophesied that this would happen in the ISUPK. You know what I mean? Commander General Yohana already prophesied that this would happen. As soon as Donald Trump got back in office, you know what I mean, he's gonna show his behind like, you know what I mean, you ain't never seen. Like you thought it was bad. His first term as president, you know what I mean, he gonna show his behind. Where now, and then as soon as he get in office, you're gonna see your oppressor show they behind. But that's what you don't realize as Black, Hispanic, and Native American is that's good. You know what I mean? It's good that your oppressor is showing his face. The scriptures say, thy enemy is made a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up their head. You know what I mean? Your oppressor is actually showing who they are. They're showing themselves. They're making themselves known and putting themselves on Front Street so you know who your enemy is. Where so long, you know what I mean, so long ago, you know what I mean, it wasn't so blatant as it is. I mean, it was blatant, you know what I mean, where they was doing all sorts of diabolical things to Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. But now in recent times, in recent years, you start to see that your oppressor don't give a damn about even being discreet.
Right.
Where at one time they would take your life and then, you know what I mean, at least try to hide the body.
Right.
You know what I mean? At least try to hide their hand. You know what I mean? But now they taking your life on camera, getting paid leave, and then going over going across the state, across the country to a different precinct, and then getting the same job.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's so many things going on right now that we gonna, you know what I mean, that we're gonna talk about tonight. So if you got, with that being said, if you got any questions, you know what I mean, the comments, go ahead, put them in the chat. And make sure you like, share, subscribe to the channel as well. You know what I mean? Send it to your family members, because right now it is high time for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans to wake up out of sleep. It's high time because you see what's going on. Let me get Romans the 15th. As a matter of fact, not yet. Salaki, let me get with you. But yeah, Romans 15:4, Salaki. But what you don't realize is you know how to yeah, you don't want to. You just open a new tab over yeah, and there you could click the yeah. But make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you Romans 15:4. Make sure you like, share, subscribe to the channel, share it with your loved ones, share it with your family members. Because again, it's high time for us to wake out of sleep. What is that? 13 and 10? As a matter of fact, let's get there real quick. 2 chapters over in chapter 13 and verse 10. It's like you. Because, you know what I mean, we seeing all these things happening before us, and we trying to figure out what's going on. You know what I mean? We trying to figure out what's going on in the world. 11, I believe. Okay, that's the one. But you know what I mean, you seeing all these things happening, and we trying to figure out what's going on. We trying to figure out why these things is happening. We trying to figure out, you know what I mean, why now all of a sudden, you know what I mean, the DEI bill is being you know what I mean, removed. Why our Hispanic brothers and sisters are being persecuted so heavily. And what you don't understand is that you just hit
share
present.
Right,
yeah, present, and then share screen.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, remember.
Yeah, it's all good.
So
It's
like
a little practice.
Share.
But you know what I mean, you seeing all these things happening, you got to ask yourself, why is this happening? You know what I mean? Why is all of these diabolical things happening to our brothers and to our sisters? And the most diabolical part about it is that we turning on one another, where we see our brothers and our sisters, you know what I mean, being heavily persecuted. And because we're poor, just like they poor, and because of the propaganda that's been pushed in Black, Hispanic, and Native American ears, you know what I mean, we telling our brothers, like, who gives a damn about them when they don't deserve that at all? When they've been the backbone, you know what I mean, of America, just how we have been. Right. You know what I mean? They've been persecuted in America just how we have been. They've been robbed and, you know what I mean, unalived and mass genocided just like we have been. You know what I mean? They go through the same exact things that we go through, yet and still we see them going through the same tribulation that we've gone through for all these years. And we like, so what? Who gives a damn? We find a reason not to give a damn about our brothers. The same way we find a reason not to give a damn about our brothers when you selling your own mother drugs. You know what I mean? Or you might getting I'll be real quick. Baba shot. You know what I mean? But we convince ourselves that their tribulation don't matter and the pain that they go through don't matter. Why is that? Because even though, you know what I mean? Why is it that even though you grew up with a mother who was on drugs or a father who was an alcoholic or maybe was absent, then you grow up and become the same thing, a drug addict and an alcoholic and absent in your family. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Why you you know what I mean? You hated the fact, hey, you ever you know what I mean? You hated the fact that your father wasn't in your life because of, you know what I mean, because drugs have destroyed your life. But then you grow up and become a drug dealer.
Right.
You know what I mean? Why is that? The reason why we do hypocritical things like that is the same reason why we hate our Hispanic brothers and sisters who are just like us. It's because we're poor. It's because we're poor, and because since we so poor, we feel like, so like you turn this off. Since we so poor, we feel like, you know what I mean? We feel like we can't share with one another. We feel like if our brother, you know what I mean, if our brothers and our sisters is in the same vicinity or the same neighborhood as us, we feel like instead of looking at that brother like that's my brother, now I'm looking at him like he just another mouth to feed. He's another person that's going to compete for this job. Right. You know what I mean? That's why before Trump got elected, when he was running, he was like, the Hispanics are taking black jobs. You know what I mean? And in our mind, because we so poor, since we've been so poor for so long because of our oppressor, we're not even thinking, what the hell is a black job?
Right.
You know what I mean? We so poor, we think like, damn, they are somebody taking my jobs. I need a job right now. Is that why I can't get a job? Is that why they're not hiring me? No, it's because they hate you. And now they got you hating your brother too. You know what I mean? They got you hating your brother too. And the reason why we so susceptible to, you know what I mean, hating one another is because we poor and we got to live amongst one another. And we, instead of looking at your oppressor, you know what I mean, in the way that they've destroyed our neighborhoods and destroyed our lives and destroyed our families, we look at one another like my life is hard because of my brother. Right. You know what I mean? And that's just another propaganda tool that your oppressor uses to divide us. You know what I mean? But what you got to realize is that we all going through the same thing. And guess what? You know what I mean? They trying to mass deport Hispanics right now. You know what I mean? They just, if I'm not mistaken, they looking at they starting to target his Native Americans too.
Right.
Whereas, you know what I mean, you being a Native American ain't enough. You know what I mean? Well, they starting to target them. And they not from nowhere but here. You know what I mean? They was here before your oppressor came over and colonized this earth. You know what I mean? So if they come in and attacking Native Americans and trying to mass deport them as well, then how long do you think it is going to be before you're going through the exact same condition, black man? Right. You know what I mean? What you got to realize and understand sooner than later is that you are in the exact same boat. And instead of hating one another, instead of hating your brother and your sister that go through the same thing as you, we need to come together and realize that we got a common enemy. Go ahead, read what you got, Baba Kasha.
Yeah, so like it.
So you about to say something?
Yeah, so like I mean, like that's heavy what you're saying. Like, I don't know, our brothers, our Native Indians, and the Hispanic brother need to understand that we ain't here together. I mean, we will press together. I got a precept for you. This is Jeremiah 50, chapter 33. Thus say the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all took them captive, held them fast. They refused to let them go. That's what's going on today. They keep we all oppressed. We only need to understand that we are oppressed by the white man, by the oppressor. We need to come together to you know what I mean, to let us, you know what I mean, to get out of that oppression, not fight one another. You know, they causing division among us. That's why we need to, you know what I'm saying, we need to come to the Most High and get away from the oppressor. You know what I'm saying?
No, get out of hand. I mean, that was a heavy precept, and that just goes right into the point of the class tonight. Like, we try to divide ourselves from one another we try to divide ourselves from one another. But what the brother just read out of the Bible is that we were oppressed together.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so that lets you know that the division that's being driven between blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans is a tool, is a weapon that your oppressor uses, you know what I mean, to destroy you and to continue to elevate himself above the children of God. But you wouldn't know that unless you got into this Bible and that you actually read it and learned it for what it is. You know what I mean? Like we said at the beginning of the class, everything that you seeing, all the turmoil, all the turmoil, all the chaos and all the, you know what I mean, the controversy, all the controversial things that you see happening in the world right now, all of those things can be found in the Bible. You know what I mean? Including, we'll get it in a second, but including your division from your brother. You know what I mean? But you know what I mean, you wouldn't know that unless you open this Bible. That's why we do what we do in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Because for so long, you know what I mean, for so long we didn't you know what I mean, we didn't bought into the what's the word? We done bought into the lies of the Christian church, so much so that it's just in us, and we don't even know it.
Right.
You know what I mean? We try to separate ourselves from it. You know what I mean? We try to lead that Christian church, and then we become spiritual. We become, you know what I mean? What's the word? We become spiritual. We become, what's the word? Monotheistic, where we just believe in every God, or we believe in no God, or we just believe in a higher power, which basically just means you're your God. You know what I mean? But then you don't realize that all the practices that you keep, you know what I mean, all the holidays that you keep, you know what I mean, even down to your diet and who you sleep with and who you marry and how you deal with relationships, all of that comes from Christianity. So you think you leaving that Christian church, but you're really keeping it, you know what I mean, tucked away inside you. You know what I mean? That's why it's so much to talk about. But you know what I mean, that's why it's so disgusting, you know what I mean, it's so disappointing, you know what I mean, when you see things like what happened in Cincinnati on the 7th, I believe it was, where some white supremacists, you know what I mean, they went up in Lincoln Heights and was just, you know what I mean, having what they call, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna send you this article. But you already read that?
No, I mean, read
yeah,
it.
go ahead, please.
This is the book of Romans, chapter 13, verse 11. And that, knowing the time, and now it is high time to awake out of sleep. For now is our salvation nearer than when we believed.
See, right now, it's high time for us to wake up out of sleep. So like you. Right now, it's high time for us to wake up out of sleep. You know what I mean? You seeing all these crazy things happening all over the world. You see all these things happening, like what happened in Cincinnati. You know what I mean? Where the white supremacists was what they call a protest. You know what I mean? But what they really doing is showing their hatred for you, black man, Hispanic man, and Native American man. Right. But when you see those things, it's time to wake up. And again, that's exactly what Commander General Yohana said would happen. Once Trump got into office, he said two things. He said that's exactly what's going to happen. Where Trump is going to start to show his behind, and him showing his behind is going to make your oppressors start to show their true colors. And then another thing he said was that's a good thing. That's the best thing for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, because our oppressor, you know what I mean, has been subtle and been doing what he do in the shadows. But right now he's showing you exactly how he feel about you right in your face.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then them brothers, you know what I mean? Them brothers and sisters, they went up and, you know what I mean, dismantled that whole protest. They took their flags, they burned them until it's just a smoking blob in the ground. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean? And they showed that we not, you know what I mean, we're not going for that. But the thing that's, you know what I mean, the thing that we don't understand is right after that. Well, let's go ahead and get the article. It should be as a matter of fact, it's a video in the Gmail tab. Yeah, that one. Go ahead and mute the mic real quick. Yeah, I got you. You just hit the mute when you.
9 News reporter Sean Delancey shows us how they drove hate out of Lincoln Heights.
People from the historically black Lincoln Heights community were quick to tell a group of people waving swastika flags on that overpass over I-75 that they are not welcome here. In fact, that black blob on the concrete right over there is the charred remnants of one of those flags burned to a crisp. Waving swastika flags, some armed with rifles. Eric Ruffin took this video of a group of apparent Nazis in Lincoln Heights where he says they called him the N-word.
Officially letting you know there is racism in America. This is absolutely ridiculous that I got to deal with this.
It's so heavy that he just said that, because he said there is officially racism in America. Well, it's been a racism in America,
Right.
but that's why what we was reading in Romans the 11th or the 13th chapter. Right now, it is high time for us to wake out of sleep, because your oppressor, you know what I mean, your salvation is nearer than you believe. But the scriptures also say before, you know what I mean, before the salvation of Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans can come, paraphrasing, that there has to be a falling away first. And that's the problem. That's the disconnect that we see in our communities today, where we noticing the racism of America, but we're not falling away. There's no falling away. And the more we try to cling on to our oppressor, the more we're going to be afflicted by our oppressor. We got to fall away from what's going on, or we got to fall away from our oppressor so that that man of sin can be revealed. You know what I mean? Salakia. Let's play some more of this, and we're gonna find out, because like this is right now. Look, you see this video, right? You're gonna see brothers and sisters start to speak on it. You're gonna see how militant and how what's the word? How serious we were about not allowing this to, you know what I mean, grow and flourish in our communities. But then you're gonna see something else. You know what I mean? Let me see if you notice it. And you know what I mean, if you're watching in the chat as well, if you notice anything, if you got any questions or comments or anything on the videos or anything that we saying, go ahead, put them in the chat. You know what I mean? Let's talk about this. Let's talk about what happened in Cincinnati this week.
Other videos show counter protesters breaking through a police line to confront them. The group that eventually grew to more than 100 took a swastika emblazoned flag and set it aflame, leaving just this blob. Charlene Evans.
That's so crazy. She said, spit on it like they do us. Who is they? Who is they? That's a question for anybody in the chat as well. Who's they? He said, spit on it like they do us. And I'm going to give you a hint as well. You know what I mean? The problem with, you know what I mean, the reason why white supremacy and the reason why racism in America can continue to flourish and continue, because he said there's officially racism in America. It's been official. You know what I mean? Since 1776, since 1492. You know what I mean? It's been official. You know what I mean? But why is it just now that we've seen it? So the question is, who is they? Who is they? Because whenever we see things like this, we don't ever want to put a face or a title or what's the word? We don't want to put the blame right where it needs to be. Right. We say things. We make racism like a vague thing.
Like it's a norm.
Well, not even that.
Yeah.
Like it's like we make it as if it's like a spirit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's like racism, like the devil. You know what I mean? We say, that devil, you know what I mean? He working. You know what I mean? Well, who is the devil? Who is the devil the Bible speaks of? You know what I mean? Who is the they that spits on you and destroys you and ostracizes you? Who is the they? Even though, and it's so spiritual because you just got done physically battling your oppressor who hates you in your face and waving swastika flags. But when you talk about when you talk about you know what I mean, racism, we talk about it as if it's just some spirit. Okay. Who is that? Dark side? That's absolutely not true. Do we need to get it in the Zondervan Bible Dictionary? I think we do. Let's get Ham.
You want me to show it?
Ham in the Zondervan Bible. If you could find it on the
You want me to show the
Oh yeah. That's fine. Yeah. Let me see if I can find it just real quick, just so you can understand. Let me see if I can find it on Google. And that was an excellent. I'm glad that you said what you said. You know what I mean? Salaki. I'm glad that you said what you said, saying that if we are ancestors, we are Hamites. That's absolutely not true. Right. We are the Israelites. You know what I mean? We are Shemites. You know what I mean? Let's see if we can find the image. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna share it on the screen as well. And this is what you got to understand. Share this. It's an excellent comment right there. It's excellent. Okay, it's an excellent comment that you made right there. Yeah, okay. It's an excellent comment that you made, and I'm gonna just show you the difference because I'm gonna show you the difference between Hamites and who we are as a people, and that's important. That's important for us. That's important for us to understand because that's another thing that we turn to as well. You know what I mean? We turn to Africa when we lead at Christian church. We turn to Africa, and then we just become African Christians. Right. You know what I mean? But did you you already got that in the Zondervan? Yeah, I got it. If you don't mind, please.
This is the definition of Ham in the Zondervan Bible Dictionary. Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of the 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races.
The progenitor of the dark races, right? Go ahead.
Not the Negroes.
The dark races, but
not the Negroes.
So, okay, can we at least agree that there's a separation between the so-called, or go ahead, Slacky, go ahead, read on.
He became the progenitor of the dark races, but not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites.
All right, so can we at least, okay, we might not agree, we might not agree on a lot of things. Can we at least agree that there is a separation between the so-called Africans or the so-called Hamites, the so-called Egyptians and the Libyans and the Canaanites and all of that, and the Negroes? Can we at least, okay, that's all, you know what I mean? So we can, you know what I mean, we could talk about, you know what I mean, who we really are as a people, you know what I mean? But the most important part, you know what I mean, the first thing that you got to understand that there is a distinct separation. So even if let's go with your notion, right? So he's saying when it says not the Negroes, it's saying that we're not in the Bible, which is absolutely not true. You know what I mean? But let's go with that. Let's go with that notion. It's still even if it's saying that the Negroes aren't in the Bible, which isn't true, it's still making a separation, which you just agreed to, that we are not Africans. So just like we're telling you to separate from American culture, you should absolutely separate from African culture as well. Right. You know what I mean? So that was an excellent point you just made. It was an excellent question. You know what I mean? And I think it's important that we teach Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans that very important fact, because that's just another tool that they use to divide us. Where just the same way we look at Hispanics and we be like, we look at them like they ain't our brothers. You know what I mean? They don't look at us like we they brothers for the same reason. We don't look at them like they are brothers because we look at them like, oh, they came from Mexico. They got their own land. They come from Venezuela. They come from Puerto Rico, right, and all these different. They got their own land. They got their own language. You know what I mean? When they was just conquered, just like we was conquered. You know what I mean? They speak Spanish for the same reason why we speak English, and then they looking at us like we not brothers because they think that we Africans. You know what I mean? And they ain't got no connection to Africa just like we don't. But that's just another thing that they use to propagate the hatred of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans on one another. All right. Now, we're going to get the rest of this, and I just want you to see, right? So they just said, right? So they just said there's officially racism, right? There is now officially racism in America, as if there hasn't been a racism in America since 1492. But right, you know what I mean? And then they also said they was mad. They was like, spit on it just like they spit on us, right? Now let's see this. Let's see what else they say.
Helped set it on fire.
In this neighborhood, we do stand for something. This here turf is golden soil, and it won't be tarnished with things like that.
One man arranged bullets to spell out LH on the flag, a message not to return to Lincoln Heights. To lower the temperature,
we need you, Lord, now to
Yes,
come in the midst of it.
Lincoln Heights Baptist Church.
Now look. Now guess who became the face of the Black Revolution? You know what I mean? Black Hispanics and Native Americans came together to, you know what I mean, to come against our oppressors, who we still haven't put an identity on. We just calling them they.
Right.
You know what I mean? But our brothers and sisters came together to come against blatant oppression and blatant racism and blatant white supremacy in our neighborhoods. And then what do? We get in a circle and hold hands and we pray.
Right.
You know what I mean? We go right to the Christian church. You know what I mean? People don't even believe in the Bible. People don't even believe in Christianity. We get in a circle and start praying and humming and crying and singing. You know what I mean? Which is why, you know what I mean, it irks me, you know what I mean, when I see brothers and sisters talk about we are not our ancestors. Have y'all heard that? Y'all seen it?
Yeah, right, yeah.
Whenever we see, I think they said the same thing during the Montgomery Riverboat brawl. When, you know what I mean, they saw that brother, he was in distress and he was getting abused by, I believe it was like 5 or 6 you know what I mean, oppressors, you know what I mean? And he threw his hat up and the brother dove in the water and swam over there, and then brothers and sisters were coming over and they just started whooping on him. You know what I mean? Getting them up off their brother. We came together and we was like, we are not our ancestors. What you don't understand about that phrase is that is extremely insulting, because it's implying that, you know what I mean, our ancestors, you know what I mean, our ancestors just lied down and took, you know what I mean, the oppression that was happening to us and the abuse that was happening to us.
Right.
When that's not true. I mean, there was a group of brothers and sisters who, you know what I mean, cowered under the foot of our oppressor because of things like buck breaking, like the brother brought out in the Willie Lynch letters. You know what I mean, the buck breaking and the
separation, division.
Yeah, the separation and division of our families, and they was doing all sorts of diabolical things to our families, especially the heads of our families, to make sure or to discourage further revolution. You know what I mean? They did the same thing to Nat Turner.
Right.
You know what I mean? So there was some people who did, you know what I mean, cower out of fear. But then there was always people who revolted and came up against our oppressor or our oppressors, Salaki. So to say that we are not our oppressors, or Salaki, we are not our ancestors, implying that, you know what I mean, they didn't fight back, but we are.
Right.
Or they didn't have the courage, or they didn't have the ability to fight back, but we are. You know what I mean? That's insulting. We are our ancestors because we was revolting then and we revolting now.
Right.
You know what I mean? But on the flip side, you say we are not our oppressors, or Salaki, I keep saying we are not our ancestors. Salaki, you might grab us some coals real quick, Baba Kasha, out the back. Yeah. But we say, you know what I mean, we say we are not our ancestors as if to, you know what I mean, as if to say, you know what I mean, we gonna revolt and we gonna stand up and we gonna fight back, you know what I mean, because they couldn't, you know what I mean. Watch this, watch what we do, and this is gonna show you that you are in fact your ancestors.
Church began a spontaneous prayer.
So it's all about faith.
All about
we are doing the work of God.
Still, anger went beyond the white supremacist display to the police, who kept the group separate.
Nobody's coming to save us. They allowing the Nazis in.
In a statement, the Evendale Police Department says that while the protest was very offensive, it was not illegal. Look, the Sheriff's Department responding in a statement of their own that they responded to de-escalate the situation and make sure that no one was hurt.
You know what's crazy about that? They said although it was offensive, it wasn't illegal. Now this is the hypocrisy of America, where you got brothers in the ISUPK who go out and speak on the behalf of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans who can't speak for themselves, who can't fight for themselves. You know what I mean? We speak on their behalf, and we just reveal the crimes of Blacks or of our oppressor on Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans on their behalf.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they call us a hate group. They put us on a Southern Poverty Law Center as a hate group. And you know what I mean? You saw that video that Captain Tazarek did with I forget what dude name was. forget what dude's name was, but he came. It was some oppressor, some devil that came to interview. You know what I mean? Captain Tazariak and Commander General Yohana, and you know what I mean? In the ISUPK, and they made sure that they called us the hate group, an extremist group. You look at any article that's got our name or face on it. You know what I mean? They're gonna make sure they call us a hate group, an extremist group. They're gonna make sure they say that we're on the Southern Poverty Law Center as a hate group. They're gonna make sure to say that. Right. You know what I mean? But you know what I mean? This hate group, this hate group full of oppressors waving an image that always has represented hatred. You know what I mean? They just gonna call them those people, and they and them and the group. Right. They're not gonna put a name. They're not gonna call them a hate group like they call us. When all we do is just, again, expose the crimes of America against Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. They're gonna call us a hate group. They're gonna call us a hate group. But when it comes to, you know what I mean, extremist groups like white supremacists and the Proud Boys and the what else? You know what I mean? Things like that, they just like, oh, them and they, and even though it was offensive, it wasn't illegal. Right. I thought let me leave that alone. But so it just shows you the hypocrisy. First of all, that just shows you the hypocrisy of America. It just shows you the hypocrisy of America. And then going back to Blacks, what we doing, you know what I mean? Let's see. Let's go ahead and watch a little bit more of this.
Looking forward, Pastor Julian Cook has a message.
There are obviously people who want to spread hate right now. To those people, what is your message?
You will not win. You will not win. You may try, but we have a history of being able to push past these things, as difficult as they may be. You will not win.
There has been a long list of statements and addresses from politicians, the NAACP, and more. For all of that, head over to WCPO.com. In Lincoln Heights, I'm Sean Delancey, WCPO 9 News.
The Jewish Federation.
And it's so damn, you know what I mean? It's so damn sickening, right? That's why so you know what I mean, it irks me when I hear brothers and sisters say, oh, we are not our ancestors. Because what we doing, let me get Psalms 137. We can get Psalms 137 and we'll start at verse 1. Because again, everything that you're seeing is biblical. Everything that you saw in that video is biblical. What you saw in the Montgomery Riverboat Brawl, what you saw January 6th, you know what I mean, when they stormed the Capitol, what you see when you see ICE mass deporting black or Hispanics, and then trickling down to Native Americans and black people, all of those things is biblical. All of those things are biblical. And the fact that we get abused, verse 1 is 12. You know what I mean? The fact that we get abused and we want to, it's not on camera, but you know what I mean, some of my folks from Cincinnati, I ain't want to post their business out there, but some of my folks from Cincinnati who was there in the march and in the you know what I mean, in that church, they posted, you know what I mean, a video of them marching and linking arms and marching through the streets, talking about some we shall overcome. And then talking about some we are not our ancestors. Can you believe, like, oh my God, I can't tell. Right. In the context that you using it, you know what I mean, I can't tell that you're not your ancestors, because guess what? You know what I mean, that is exactly what they did in the 60s. Right. You know what I mean? That's exactly what they was doing. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what we was doing in them slave quarters. That's exactly what we was doing in you know what I mean, right here, what we about to read in the Bible. Slacky, go ahead and read that.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 137, verse 1. By the river of Babylon, there we sat down, yea, we weep when we recognize Zion.
We wept when we remember Mount Zion. You know what I mean? See, this is how we felt about when we saw the destruction of our people, when we saw the destruction of our cities. You know what I mean? This is how we felt. Go ahead.
Verse 2.
Yeah, verse 2.
Verse 2. We like it. We hung over. It's like we hung our harps.
We did what?
We hung our harps.
We hung our harps. A harp is a musical instrument that you use to play music.
Right.
You know what I mean? When we was going through tribulation, when we was going through hardship, when we was going through oppression, like what we saw in Lincoln Heights in Cincinnati, we hanged our harps. Meaning we stopped playing music. We stopped making music. Now, what have you been trained to do? What have you been trained to do? Every time your oppressor abuses you, every time your oppressor shows that they hate you and that you need to separate from them, we pick up our harps. We pick up our harps and tambourines and things like that. Go ahead.
Upon the willows in the midst of thereof.
Uh-huh. Go ahead. Why do we do this? Why do we hang our harps? Why do we stop playing music? And this is what you got to understand. This is the difference between, this is how you know that you, not only is it offensive for you to say that you are not your ancestors, as if to say that they were weak, and now because they were incapable, or they were traumatized, or they were you know what I mean, they were in such a heavy bondage that now you have an opportunity to be stronger than them. You know what I mean? But what you got to realize is you are your ancestors. Go ahead, read on. And this is why.
Verse 3. For their day that carry us away captive require of us a song.
They did what?
Required of us a song.
They did what?
Required of us a song.
See, what you got to realize is the reason why when your oppressor comes against you with firearms, they come against you with symbols of hatred like the swastika. You know what I mean? When they come up against you and they mass deport you and they separate your families, you know what I mean? You sing. This is why. Read that again.
Verse 3. For there they that carry us away captive require us a song.
So because when your oppressor carries you away captive, when they put you in captivity, when they put you in them chains, when they mass deport you, when they gentrify your neighborhoods, when they mass incarcerate you, when they mass unalive you via the police force and the military and some oppressor with a gun, you know what I mean, to get paid for it and get accolades and get to sit next to the president for it, you know what I mean? They require you to sing.
Right.
And that's exactly what you do. That's exactly what you do. When you see your oppressor blatantly hate you, not only will you not identify him as your oppressor, not only will you not identify them as a nation of people who are against you, but you're going to sing to them. Right. You're going to march and sing and say, we shall overcome. Right. That's what you're going to do. Because that's what you did. I was there. I watched. I wasn't there, but I watched you. Right. I was watching. And I saw you do that. And remember that. I want you to remember that. When next time you say, we are not our ancestors. You know what I mean? Please.
Now, if I could, what you bringing out tonight is so heavy, priest. You know what I'm saying? You can see like the effects of Christianity, even from that video. These two brothers were speaking, and what did he say? He said, "Well, we're doing God. This is God's work." He said, "We've seen this before, and you will not win." In their mind, it's like God's work is how much abuse can I accept from every other nation, and that's them being their ancestors.
Right, right, and that's give them a hand. Like that's exactly what your ancestors did, and you know what I mean. In a lot of ways, you are worse than your ancestors. You're saying that you're not your ancestors, and I saw somebody give a little try to give a breakdown. Well, I'm not gonna go into it, but it's basically what I just said. Where back then, you know what I mean. Back in the during chattel slavery, when we were literal, and I don't even want to say were because we getting treated like cattle right now. Right. Through you know what I mean, ICE. Well, they go into your jobs and finding you. They go into your graduations and finding you and trying to mass deport our brothers and sisters. Right. But they still treating us like cattle today in items and property and cargo. But I digress. You know what I mean? Well, But when they say we are not our ancestors, they try to say, you know what I mean, when we was back in, you know what I mean, in that hard bondage in the fields, you know what I mean, with a whip on our back and chains on our feet and on our hands, you know what I mean, our ancestors couldn't fight back. You know what I mean? So they you know what I mean, they survived so that we can and blaze the trail for civil rights and you know what I mean, all of those different things so that we can be integrated into our oppressive society so that now we can fight because we don't physically have chains on us.
So like, I mean, that's,
Please.
like, for him to say that is crazy because we ain't too far, we ain't too many years ahead. Like,
Con.
Whereas like when Martin Luther King was doing his thing,
Con.
you know what I'm saying? They were what you saying? They were holding hand in hand, marching.
Uh-huh.
He was preaching peace. Peace.
Con.
Well, we getting hosed down in the street.
Right.
Damn German Shepherd getting sick on us.
Con.
You know what I'm saying? But he said we're not our ancestors. He
Right.
pretty much doing the same thing. You know what I'm saying?
Con.
You know, so you can't. And like I said, during the slavery time, you had they had no chance. No, you know what I mean? They didn't had no choice.
Con.
You know what I'm saying? But like I said, the brother like Martin Luther King, he had a choice. He had opportunity to be. He still went out there and peace. Man, don't do. You know, man, don't fight back. And so we get hung. You know what I'm saying? But you want to say that we're not our ancestors, but we in too many years ahead from segregation and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Or what it was Jim Crow law, the Jim Crow. You know what I'm saying? So that's crazy for him to say that.
That's so. Give him a hand. That's so. I mean, that's so heavy. Like that's why a lot of times, or in a lot of cases, like we are worse than our ancestors. I mean, we're worse. Exactly. You know what I mean? We're worse because you know what I mean. They had chains around their neck.
Right.
They had a whip on their back. Right. You know what I mean? And we choose now. They made us sing. Now we're just singing. Right. We just singing and crediting our oppressor for the things that the Most High is doing, which is separating us. Not only are we crediting our oppressor, you know what I mean, when we see our brothers and sisters doing things like this, but we turn around and undo all of that. Where we refuse to identify who our oppressor is, and then we also take that as an opportunity to say we're better than you because we're going to take your abuse, even though for all these years you showed us that you have always been terrible to us and that you hate us. You know what I mean? It's diabolical, man.
I like it.
Please.
That's the reason why we've been since 1969. That's why we've been sitting here trying to tell everyone, we try to educate and get y'all knowledge that we need to separate. I mean, every year y'all try to run to the election booth.
You know
what I mean? Trying to vote for the, I guess, the evil of the two, I guess you want to say.
Yeah, lesser
of the two, you want to say. Like, that's why we tell you since 1969, do not vote. And this country right here it ain't for us. It's not our kingdom. This is the white man kingdom. You know what I'm saying? So y'all need to continue not to vote. That's why we continue since 1969 not to vote, because this country right here it's based on greed and blood. You know what I'm saying? So, and it's designed to separate us and divide us from each other. You know what I'm saying? That's why with our brothers, Issachar brothers, and Mexican brothers going through right now. That's why we need to come with solidarity and come with these brothers and stand together with these brothers. You know what I'm saying? Because that's all Americans try to do is divide us. Native Indians and Hispanic brother from each other. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, since 1969, we've been teaching the truth. It's good. Keep away from the oppressor. Stay away from the oppressor. You know what I'm saying?
Come. Heavy right there, man. Let me get Ezekiel 33 real quick. And it's going to go right into exactly what you just said, man. Because people like that, where they see we're being openly attacked, you know what I mean? Because the people, you know what I mean? The people, I want to point this out too. The people, the citizens that live in the neighborhoods in Lincoln Heights, that live in those neighborhoods, they're the ones who stood up against their oppressor. They're the ones who, you know what I mean, took them flags and made them, you know what I mean, ran them up out of there. They the ones who stood up and said that that's not going to fly here. Ezekiel 33 and verse, let's see. You can start at verse 3. As a matter of fact, started to. But you know what I mean, the people, the citizens of Lincoln Heights who actually live in those neighborhoods, they ran those people off. They ran their oppressor off, and they was like, we're not gonna do this. But because their leaders are the Christian church, all of that zeal and all of that militant spirit and all of that warlike spirit got snatched away from our people. You know what I mean? So you're the reason why you Christian church, you're the reason why you want to know, you know what I mean? You say you can't win. You can't win because we've been built for you know what I mean? We've been built to suffer through all these different things. We've been built to suffer through all this oppression. We just suffered through so much. We built for it. So you can't win. Like the brother said. So the Christian church think that the Lord's work is to see how much abuse that you could take from your oppressor. The reason why white supremacy and racism can flourish in neighborhoods, in black neighborhoods like Lincoln Heights, and continue to flourish and nothing be done about it. The reason why the police can continue to take Black, Hispanic, and Native American lives and mass deport Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans and nothing be done about it is because of that Christian church. And as soon as the zeal get reignited in Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans to come against their oppressor, not only will you not put a name on it, but you're going to pacify them with song and dance. You're going to pacify them with mirth. You know what I mean? Just like your captors have required you to for 400 plus years. You know what I mean? You go past 400 years, you go into this Bible, you know what I mean? You see that they require the same thing. But go ahead and read what you got.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 33, verse 2. Son of man, speak to the children of thy people, and say unto them, when I bring the sword upon a land, if the people of the land take a man of their coast and set to him for their watchmen.
See, as a nation, we supposed to set watchmen. You know what I mean? You're supposed to set a watchman to watch to make sure other nations, you know what I mean, which also shows that the Most High is about separation, but you're supposed to set watchmen at your coast, at your borders, you know what I mean, to make sure other nations don't take advantage of you. Other nations or something doesn't come and take your life or take your children's life or put you in oppression or captivity. Go ahead.
Verse 3. If when he seeth the sword come upon the land, he blows the trumpet and warn the people.
So if your watchmen see the trumpet or see the sword come and blow the trumpet and warn the people, go ahead. And what you got to understand about your oppressor or these other nations is that these other nations are the Lord's whooping stick. Right. He's what he uses, like I said in the book of Judges. You know what I mean? He said that he's going to leave these other nations around you to prove you whether you will do what the Lord says or not. So these other nations are the Lord's whooping stick. Like it says in Deuteronomy, you know what I mean? If you follow all these laws, statutes, and commandments, you will be on high above all nations and you'll receive all these blessings. But, you know what I mean? If you don't, you'll receive all these curses. And a lot of those curses involve other nations coming up against you and putting you in captivity and abusing you and separating you from your families. You know what I mean? So what you see with ICE, what you see with Trump, what you see with you know what I mean, your police force and the military taking the lives of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. When you see all these things, what you saw in Lincoln Heights on that overpass over I-75, that was the sword. You know what I mean? That was the Lord's sword trying to get the attention of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans so that you can see who your oppressor is. Right. But the problem is your watchmen, your Christian church ain't blowing the damn trumpet. Your Christian church ain't blowing the trumpet and warning the people and letting you know that this is the Most High trying to separate these nations, separate you from the nation of people who has destroyed you and is destroying you right now. As that racist protest was happening on that overpass in Lincoln Heights, ICE agents was going into jobs. They want to call Blacks, Hispanic, they want to call Hispanics and Native Americans lazy. They want to call Black people lazy. Why do they got to go into your job to deport you? They're not finding you in, you know what I mean? They're not finding you over in an overpass on I-75 protesting and showing a racist symbol to Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, showing your hatred. That's not where they're finding you. They're finding their people doing that. They're finding you at work and mass deporting you. They're finding you at school, at your graduation, getting education like our black women do, like our black brothers do. You know what I mean? They finding you at your graduation and mass deporting you. Yet they want to call you lazy. Yet and still, as all of this is going on, and you see the Lord's sword coming over the world, over America, over Babylon, the great whore that sits on many waters, your watchman, the Christian church, ain't blowing the trumpet. Go ahead.
Oh, come. Verse 4. Then whosoever heareth the sound of the trumpet and take note, not warning, if the sword come and take him away, his blood shall be upon his own head.
See, this is what the priests and prophets and the ISUPK do. See, we're not afraid to blow the trumpet. We see your oppressor for exactly who he is. We see him as the devil the Bible speaks of. That's right. That old serpent, you know what I mean, that deceived us from the beginning. And that has been deceiving Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans for all these years, who smile in your face all the time. They want to take your place. That's who we know. We see your oppressor for exactly who they are. You know what I mean? And we're going to blow the trumpet. What you got?
That's why they got rid of the DEI. That's what it is. Yeah, because too many of us had a high position of them. So we were setting a high position to higher them. They didn't like that. So that's why they get rid of DEI. So they can bring y'all back to reality. Put their foot back on y'all neck. Y'all don't understand that. You know what I'm saying?
You know what's heavy? You know what's heavy about that? General Muhammad said that when he said it, it blew my mind, because like I realized that I was thinking the exact same way. But he was like, we see, you know what I mean, diversity, equity, and inclusion. We see the what's it called? What's it called? Affirmative action. We see that, and because of affirmative action and things like that, we make up about 10% of the workforce of, like, you know what I mean, or different types of labor. You know what I mean? So like lawyers, doctors, you know what I mean, judges, officials, and you know what I mean, government officials, things like that. And in my mind, I'm like, this ain't enough. I'm like, this ain't enough. Like 10%, you know what I mean? You giving my sister, like that sister that was on I forget what it was. It looked like it was like Sports Center, like seeing ESPN or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was, but the sister said, you know what I mean, she got more education than everybody at that table.
I seen that.
Yeah, she got more education than anybody at that table. Yet still she's the lowest on the payroll. Right. And instead of acknowledging and be like, dang, yeah, this system is broken, this, that, and the third. Yeah, that's wrong. They was laughing at her. They was trying to mock her and overtalk her, and you know what I mean. And I'm sure she didn't get a raise. I'm sure she didn't get exactly what she deserved. But you know what I mean? Yeah, I'd have lost my damn train of thought. But when we see those things, when we see affirmative action, and we see how little of our people are still getting into these jobs that we are well overqualified for, we like, that's not enough. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, your oppressor, they see you every day at that job in that suit and tie, you know what I mean, at that law firm, you know what I mean? You know what I mean, in that you know what I mean, being aircraft mechanics, and you know what I mean, being you know, in a military and in a police force, you know what I mean, they see you as doctors and lawyers and you know what I mean, things like that, and they like, it's too many. It's too many of us. You know what I mean? They sick to their stomach to see you in there. That's why, like the brother said, that's why they getting rid of it. That's why they got rid of affirmative action in the DEI bill. You know what I mean? Because you look at this and you think that there's still not enough diversity, equity, and inclusion. But they like one of you, you know what I mean, merging and you know what I mean, integrating into our society is too many. It's like your priest. You about to say something?
No, I was just gonna say, priest. It was the one black judge that they made the reason for the ball.
Con.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like you said, priest. One is 2 minutes. Like
Con. Give him a hand. And that's what we trying to get you to understand. That's why us in the ISUPK, even though what we teach comes straight out of this Bible, it's an unpopular opinion. Right. You know what I mean? We say God don't love everybody. But it's even though that's in the Bible, that's an unpopular opinion in the Christian church. So the Christian church will say the opposite and say God loves everybody. That's why you gotta get your head split open and get dogs sicked on you and hoses blown on you and all of that, and you still gotta get up and try to love that same oppressor that show you that they don't love you.
Sing a song.
Con, you gotta sing a song like they require of you in your captivity. You know what I mean? because because what's in this Bible is an unpopular opinion, but that's what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be telling you that Christ didn't come to die for everybody. I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. You know what I mean? We're supposed to tell you that Christ was a black man. He was not God. He was a black man from the tribe of Judah, from the seed of David, from the bloodline and the seed of David. He came from the seed of Joseph. You know what I mean? We're supposed to tell you those things, but it's an unpopular, even though that's what's in the Bible, according to John 1:45, according to Matthew, the first chapter. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Even though that's in the Bible, that's an unpopular opinion in the Christian church. So we have to blow the trumpet and warn you about all these things that your Christian church won't tell you. But because, you know what I mean? Because our people hear the trumpet and take not the warning, if the sword come and take them away, your blood is going to be upon your own head.
Right.
I mean, that's what we don't want. We don't want the sword to come and destroy Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans further. We don't want you to be susceptible to, you know what I mean, things that happened to George Floyd, Vanessa Guillen over here in Killeen, Texas on Fort Cavazos base. Right. You know what I mean? We don't want to see the things that happened to, I believe, what was it, Jordan Neely, when he got choked out on that bus. Yeah, we don't want to see, we don't want to see things like that. We don't want to see things like that happen to you. What you don't realize is that's the Lord's sword, man, because we refuse to separate from our oppressors, man. When we see things like the racism, the blatant racism that happened in Cincinnati, Ohio, and Lincoln Heights, you know what I mean? Instead of separating from our oppressor, we go and sing with them and sing for them and sing to them. You know what I mean? All the while trying to maintain that we are not our oppressors, singing the same song that your oppressors sang, trying to say we are not our ancestors. Salakia, we are not our ancestors. You know what I mean? We got to wake the hell up, man. And we blowing the trumpet in the ISUPK, trying to show you that, you know what I mean? Trying to show you the truth, man. But we refuse to hear it. We refuse to hear it. We refuse to see it. Go ahead, read on.
It's the book of Ezekiel, chapter 33, verse 5. He heard the sounds of the trumpet and took not warning.
Right.
His blood shall be upon him. But he that taketh warning shall deliver his soul.
But he that taketh warning shall deliver his soul. And that's the whole point. We're trying to warn you so that your soul can be delivered. But your oppressor, not only is your oppressor trying to keep you docile, but your watchman, the Christian church, the Catholic priests, you know what I mean? The so-called scholars and the leaders of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans who have taken it upon themselves to call themselves scholars. You know what I mean? Your Christian pastor appointed himself to be a Christian pastor over you. You know what I mean? To be the religious and the spiritual authority of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. They took that upon themselves, man. And with that responsibility that they given themselves, they teach you lies, man. They teach you lies and try to integrate you into that burning house that Martin Luther King integrated Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans into. So we trying to warn you, but your Christian pastors, they want to teach you the lies and keep you in hell. You know what I mean? They refuse to blow the trumpet. Go ahead. And this is what's going to happen to what was dude's name? Pastor Fred or whoever. Let me see. Let me find out what his name is so I could call him by name. Yeah, the Christian pastor that was just.
Wait, your mother day?
It was in his video. Let me. Pastor Julian Cook. There you go. Pastor Julian Cook. This is what Pastor Julian Cook got to look forward to, because he has been an evil watchman. Right. You know what I mean? And any Christian pastor that believes and says and teaches the same thing that Pastor Julian Cook teaches. You know what I mean? This is what your Christian pastors got to look forward to. Julian Cook, your Creflo Dollas and your T.D. Jakes and your what else? You know what I mean? Well, yeah, Eddie Long. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? That's what you got to look forward to. Go ahead. And they already starting to receive the judgment. You know what I mean? You starting to see Eddie Long already gone. You know what I mean? What's his name? T.D. Jakes. You know what I mean? He having some sort of heart problems, I believe. You know what I mean? Where now, ugh, well, we gonna see what kind of scandals come out against him as well in the near future. But you know what I mean? You starting to see these Christian pastors, and the Lord's sword is falling on these Christian pastors for being so evil and so wicked to the Lord's children by not warning them who their enemy is. You know what I mean? Trying to integrate you with your enemy. Go ahead and read what's going to happen to these Christian pastors. Go ahead.
All right. Verse 6. But if the watchman see the sword come and blow not the trumpet.
So what you saw in Lincoln Heights and Cincinnati, Ohio, that was the Lord's sword coming. You know what I mean? These nations coming up against blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You know what I mean? ICE is the Lord's sword coming. And you see the sword coming, but what do you want to do? These Christian pastors want to still try to integrate you into white society.
Right.
Go ahead.
And the people be not warned.
And the people be not warned, because the people of Lincoln Heights rose up against their oppressors and drove them out. And your oppressor did what an oppressor does. You know what I mean? Which, you know what I mean, Commander General Yohana prophesied what happened, that they would raise up and they would show you, they would start to show you exactly who they are and how they feel about you. So because of that, your oppressor has been identified. Your oppressor has been identified right in front of you and exactly how they feel right in front of you. And the people of Lincoln Heights rose up. But because your watchman, because your Christian church went and backdoored and tried to pacify them with mirth, with song and dance, and with harps. Go ahead.
If the sword come and take any persons from among them, he is taken away in his iniquity.
So because that Christian church has been so filthy and so wicked to the Lord's chosen people, they're going to make it seem like that spirit of warfare is an evil thing. That we should be loving our oppressor. We should join hand in hand and arm with our oppressor. We don't need to be fighting them and attacking them. We need to be, and I ain't telling you to go out there, you know what I mean, bust no oppressor upside the head. But you do need to keep that spirit, that spirit that the brothers and sisters had in Lincoln Heights. That's what we all need in us, man. Go ahead. But Slacky. But you know what I mean? The Slacky, go ahead. Let me let you finish.
But his blood will I required at the watchman's hand.
So because after them brothers and sisters showed that great show of bravery and courage against their oppressor in Lincoln Heights, and then your Christian pastor pacified them with that spirit of love and daisies and all of that, you know what I mean, and started to sing and dance and all of that, our people are going to be taken away. Come, let's get that. Come, most high Christ. Well, you know, our people are going to be taken away in our iniquity. You know what I mean? Because your Christian pastor refused to blow the trumpet, and our people refused to listen to the ISUPK because, again, the same Christian pastors that refused to blow the trumpet and warn the people are the same Christian pastors that help demonize the ISUPK, who are trying to help the people. So our people are going to lose their life in their iniquity. You know what I mean? But read that last part.
What, 6?
You read right here.
Oh, I still got it.
Yeah.
What was that?
The last right there.
Oh, he at the his blood.
Yeah.
But his blood will I require at the watchman's hand.
So we lose our lives, you know what I mean, by following after, you know what I mean, by doing these wicked things, right? By living these wicked lives that we live, by, you know what I mean, celebrating these Christmases and this Thanksgiving, by joining ourselves hand in hand with our oppressor. But, you know what I mean, but that Christian pastor, your blood is going to be on their hands. Right. Because they refuse to warn you. They refuse to tell you the truth about the matter. They refuse to tell you and warn you about your oppressor. They refuse to warn you about all these nations that are confederate against blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, like it says in Psalms 83. They refuse to tell you the truth that's in this Bible. Well, they make what's in this Bible an unpopular opinion in the Christian church. They make it seem like we teaching hate speech, and we teaching hate because we read what's in this Bible, the same Bible that they claim to teach you out of. So because of that, because they want to keep the people docile for money or to continue to take advantage of you, to continue to do the diabolical things that they doing in that Christian church, taking the lives of your, you know what I mean, taking the abuse, sexually abusing your children, and sleeping with your wives and robbing you and lying to you. You know what I mean? They're gonna be their blood is gonna be on, or your blood is gonna be on their hands.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's another thing too. Why is it? I mean, how much more do we got to see the reputation of the Christian church before we put down Christianity?
Right.
You know what I mean, how many more of our children got to be abused in that Christian church? How many more Eddie Longs got to be put over the youth, be made youth pastors and put over the choir? You know what I mean? Before we realize that the Christian church is full of snakes. How many, you know what I mean? How many times do they got to rob you? How many times do they got to you know what I mean, separate your families? How many times do they got to teach you lies before we realize that we got to get up out of that Christian church? It's like you.
Now, if I could, please, that's heavy what you're bringing now. You're asking, like, how many times and when are we going to wake up and realize, you know, what the Christian church is doing to the community? And it goes back right along with the title of their class about that we are ancestors, because that same abuse that we take from America is the same abuse that they allow to go on in that Christian church, and they just forgive and forgive and forgive. So how long are they going to accept it? You know what I'm saying? Until they go to the grave. It's like
what he said was heavy, and what you got to realize too about that, you know what I mean, we are not our ancestors thing. Not only are you doing the exact same, not only are you singing the same song that your ancestors did, but you're doing the exact same thing that Martin Luther King did. You know what I mean? Right. Where our brothers and sisters, you know what I mean, and they might have been, you know what I mean, misguided, or they might have, you know what I mean, went about it the wrong way. You know what I mean? But Nat Turner, he had that spirit on him. You know what I mean? And certain brothers and sisters, they had that spirit on them of at least knowing who your oppressor was and knowing that we need to separate. But what did Martin Luther King do? He went and backdoored that spirit of separation, the spirit of the Lord that, you know what I mean, keeps us away from our oppressor, and he wanted to integrate us. That's exactly what what's his name? His name ain't even important enough to remember. Right. But I want you to know who this person's name is, so you can know who these who's not a watchman over Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Julian Cook, Bishop, Pastor, Deacon Julian Cook. You know what I mean? He did the exact same thing, where they you know what I mean, Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans in Lincoln Heights galvanized to come up against their oppressor and drive them out of their neighborhoods and show them that we're not gonna stand for that type of nonsense. And Julian Cook, he went and backdoored it and put that spirit of docility. He replaced your spirit of war and with docility. He did the exact same thing. Slacky, go ahead and read that precept you got.
Come. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 23, verse 1. Woe be unto the pastors.
Be unto who?
Be unto the pastors.
Be unto who?
The pastors.
Pastor Julian Cook.
The pastors that destroy and scatter the sheep of my pastor, said the Lord.
See, that's what Julian Cook got coming, because he is. We're trying to gather. The scriptures say, "Gather together, O nation not desired." Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the ones not desired. And we've been scattered amongst all these nations in our captivity. And as we're trying to gather together, like they did in Lincoln Heights, up against our oppressor, Julian Cook went back in there and scattered us again. Right. He scattered us amongst our oppressor. And now, watch, we're gonna be at work arm in arm, just like we was after that Montgomery riverboat brawl. You know what I mean? Where now you give your oppressor the opportunity to be like, oh, them was those white people. I'm different. So now you just got done hitting a white person with a chair, you know what I mean, who is always taking your life and always you know what I mean, robbed you and you know what I mean, did all these diabolical things to you as a nation, and then now you gonna go you know what I mean, you gonna go and arm in arm with another oppressor. You know what I mean? Ridiculous, man. Woe unto these Christians, man. You got some more? Oh, that was it?
No, I got verse 2. You want to go hit verse 2?
Verse 2. What's it saying? Please.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 23, verse 2. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, God of Israel, against the pastors.
Against the who?
Against the pastors.
See, you think your Christian pastor, you think the Lord is with your Christian pastor. Read that again from the top.
Therefore, thus said the Lord God.
So therefore means for this purpose, for this reason. So because you've scattered my people, because you've made it to where we want to integrate, because you put that spirit on the Lord's people, go ahead.
Therefore, thus said the Lord God of Israel against the pastors that fed my people. Ye have scattered my flock.
See, the Lord is against your pastors for putting that effeminate dancing, singing spirit on Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans after we come together. Julian Cook, go ahead.
And driven them away.
And driven them away. Go ahead.
And have not visited them. Behold, I will visit upon you the evil of your doing.
See, that what you got to understand is that your Christian pastor. See, where was Julian Cook at when they was driving him away?
Right.
Where was Julian Cook at when you know what I mean? When it comes to the mass incarceration and the mass oppression of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, where's Julian Cook at speaking up against what ICE is doing to Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans right now? But he sure was there to get his cameo. To get his you know what I mean, to get his publicity. Go ahead. And for that, you know what I mean, the Lord is against you.
Right.
The Lord is against all these Christian pastors. Go ahead.
That was it, right?
Oh, that was it.
Yeah, let me see.
Let's go to Exodus, the first chapter, real quick. And let's go to the let me play this video real quick. Play the rest of this video. Share this tab instead.
Has a message.
There are obviously people who want to spread hate right now. To those people, what is your message?
You will not win. You will not win. You may try, but we have a history of being able to push past these things, as difficult as they may be. You will not win.
There has been a long list of statements and addresses from politicians, the NAACP, and more. For all of that, head over to WCPO.com. In Lincoln Heights, I'm Sean Delancey, WCPO 9 News.
The Jewish Federation of Cincinnati also condemned the display of what they called Nazi symbols today, calling them reprehensible.
We are not going to be intimidated. We are going to be proud to be Jewish. And our response to hate is really to reaffirm our commitment to strengthening community bonds.
CEO Danielle Minson there says that they have received no credible reports of threats to the Jewish community, but they remain dedicated to safety and security in all Jewish organizations and congregations.
Nah, hold on, let me see. Slacky. Let's see. We're gonna start at about verse 6. All right. And I want to say this too, right? Because the last the last person to speak, I believe, was a representative of the so-called Jewish community. Right. Where's the Jewish community been? They say that they stand up against all different types of hate, right?
Right.
Where has the Jewish community been when the same swastika that was on the flags that they burned in Lincoln Heights is the same salute that Elon Musk gave at the presidential inauguration?
Right.
Right.
Where was the Jewish community then? Where was the outrage? Where was the outrage? Because when it came to Kyrie Irving just sharing a documentary about, you know what I mean, just suggesting that maybe Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are Israelites, or Kanye West when he said I'm Jew too, they was so outraged about that when they took their money, endorsements, and all of that. They made them do public apologies. They suspended the athletes that was standing up. You know what I mean? They was freezing the bank accounts of Kanye West and all these rappers and entertainers. You know what I mean? So you see what it looks like when the Jewish community stands up against what they deem as hate. But they saw this and what saw what Elon Musk did. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if this is real or not, but I think the logo, the Tesla logo, is in the shape of a swastika now. Let me see if that's true. I don't want to say anything that's untrue, but let me see. So lucky. But I think well, I don't wanna
That's it.
Good night.
That's crazy.
Salakia. Oh my god. But now I'm gonna leave that alone. But not either way, like whether they I mean, regardless, Elon Musk definitely did the like that's true. That's something that's undeniable. That's something that you can't deny. That he definitely did the Hail Hitler Nazi salute at the behind the presidential podium. You know what I mean? Where was the outrage for that? Where was the freezing of his bank accounts? Where was the cancel Elon Musk?
Right.
Where was the persecution? Where was the public apology? It seems like the Jewish community only stands up against so-called hate. The only thing that they deem as hate is when Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans say exactly what it says in Revelations chapter 2 and 9, Revelation chapter 3 and 9, that there are some people who claim they are Jews and are not, but the synagogue of Satan.
Right.
That's what it seems like they deem as hate and that they stand up against. You can't even suggest that the Jews might be black. You can't even suggest that Christ might have been a black man. You can't even suggest that you know what I mean, we Jew too, like Kanye said. Or they're gonna stand up against you, but Elon Musk, where they ain't even I haven't even seen a Jewish person. I ain't even seen a Jewish person. Ain't no statements came out, ain't no articles or outrage, ain't no letters been written. You know what I mean? Ain't nothing. Nothing. Not a text message. I ain't seen nothing. They selective, man. They selective, and that's exactly why it's time for you to separate from your oppressor. It's time for you to separate from your oppressor and realize who your oppressor is, man. And your Christian church is the vehicle of making sure Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans stay docile. Right. Because as soon as you get a little bit of masculinity and you get a little bit of courage to stand up against your oppressor, here comes your singing, dancing Christian pastor to make sure you pacified again. Go ahead, read what you got. What you got to understand is what you got to understand, Black man, Hispanic man, and Native American man, is that you can't, unlike, you know what I mean, contrary to popular belief, unlike what your Christian pastor wants you to believe, you cannot sing and dance your way into the graces, the good graces of your oppressor. Right. You cannot love your oppressor to death. You cannot love your oppressor. You can't love your oppressor so much that they see that what they do to you is wrong and the oppression that they do to you is wrong and stop oppressing you. You can't serve your oppressor to the point where you build up their schools and you build up their cities and you build up their nation and you build up, you know what I mean, their infrastructures and things like that. And then they remember you and love you. And that's what you see was happening. That's what you see was happening with the so-called Hispanics. And you're going to see it happen to the Native Americans and the Black people as well. You know what I mean? We all in the same boat. Where we think, oh, we built this country. You know what I mean? We built your buildings. We pick your, you know what I mean? We grow your fruits and vegetables. You know what I mean? We drive your trucks. You know what I mean? We're the scientists and the engineers that build and fly your planes. You know what I mean? To build your rocket ships. You can't mass deport us. That's what we leaning on because we served them so well. We've been such good slaves in America. We feel like we have some sort of rights in America. But what you got to realize is that's not true. Where no matter, you can't serve them to where they respect you. And that's what you're seeing right now. And if only Joseph, what's his name? Jillian or whatever the hell the damn pastor's name is in Cincinnati. If only instead of walking up and down the streets talking about so we shall overcome, if he would have just read you Exodus, the first chapter, and showed you this, you would be able to understand America that you live in. Right. You know what I mean? But he too busy singing and dancing for you and marching. Go ahead, read what you got.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 1, verse 6. And Joseph died, and all his brethren, and all that generation.
So this is after. So Joseph was a great man that lived or that not only lived in Egypt, but he was Pharaoh's right-hand man. And because of the wisdom that the Most High gave Joseph to be able to foresee a famine that was coming, he was able to help Pharaoh use 7 years of where they would be plentiful to be able to build storehouses and store for the 7 years of famine. So now he used that to be able to make Egypt powerful, much like, the minds of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans in America have been used to prop up America and make America the most powerful nation in the world.
Right.
It's the same exact thing. And the children will go ahead, read on.
Verse 7. And the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly.
So in our captivity, this is exactly what we did. As we serve our oppressor, and built this reputation of being the strongest, the hardest working people in America, being a workhorse, being the most intelligent. This Black History Month, and I bet in every school they teach you about the Peanut Dude, George Washington Carver. They teach you about all the Black inventions that we was a part of, that we created, that your oppressor stole. But they ain't gonna teach you that part. They gonna teach you how you how you made the street light, or how you made the peanut, or how you used the peanut, or how you they want to teach. They gonna teach you about all these inventions but they're not gonna teach you who stole the inventions, or who benefited from the inventions. Things like that. But we in our captivity, as we serving our oppressor, we becoming fruitful. We having babies. Go ahead.
And increased abundantly, and multiplied, and waxed exceedingly mighty. And the land was filled with them.
And the what?
And the land was filled with them.
And now the land is filled with them. Just like in Egypt, the land was filled with Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. America, who mirrors themselves off of Egypt, is filled with Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. And now they want to mass deport them. Now they like, well, we gonna see what happens. Go ahead. Read verse 8.
Remember, it's like you. I can
please.
See, when we left Egypt, went to the way, we went to Egypt. It fell, right? You know what I'm saying? So that's what we need to do. Come together. When we come together, see, America gonna fall. So we gotta stay out of their military. That's why their military is great, because the Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans in there. We fought their wars. You know what I'm saying? See, we fought their wars back with World War II. We fought wars. We were segregated in battle. See, we had our own regiments and all that. And so we did some major accomplishments in the wars, and we didn't get no recognition for it until what they still try to bring into movies now. Try to get recognition after what 50, 70 years later. Like everybody that was just all the brothers that was in World War II, they all died and all dead, gone now.
Right
now, you want to get recognitions after they're gone off the earth.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying, that's why we need to come together and separate, because they place will fall without us. They can send our brothers back to Mexico if they want. Who gonna do the job they don't want to do? You know what I'm saying? The white man didn't want to do none of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's like Donald Trump, all the way to Trump Tower. That tower got built over immigrants. You know what I'm saying? Lord, he was paying about a penny on the dollar probably. Now the tower built, now he want to send them back over. You know what I'm saying? I don't say we need to separate, because that's heavy, because doing the election, bro, we all our Mexican brothers, Black brothers and everything, they want to vote. I don't think Donald Trump got in his cabinet. I don't think he got one brother or one Mexican that he hired. I don't know, did he? He got anybody on his staff that's Mexican? That's Mexican is in Black. I know that one Black brother keep on coming on television. I don't know what he is. He voted for Donald Trump. And he voted for Donald. He never got hired. And they asked him why you didn't get. He asked him how you feel about not getting hired. The man said, well, it could be another opportunity.
Good night.
Another opportunity. You didn't. You voted for him, but he didn't even give you a job. Bro, you being used. He didn't use you and abuse you and throw you into the wolves. Right? That's why. That's like I said. You have to recognize and come to understanding that this place is not for you. You know what I'm saying? They're always going to keep a foot over on your neck. You know what I'm saying? So it's just heavy.
No, give him a hand. What the brother said was absolutely heavy and absolutely true. And you would think that after all of that oppression, and after all of that denial, after you'd have poured your heart and your soul and you'd have gave your spirit to this place, you would think that we would withdraw for the militaries after we'd have been oppressed. As we fighting side by side with our oppressors, we are protecting. We the one who's watching our oppressors six. We the ones who are, you know what I mean, the medics that keep your cowardly oppressors alive. You know what I mean, on them battlefields. We the ones out there on the front lines. You know what I mean, like that brother during the I think it was after Pearl Harbor. Or what was it? Yeah, after Pearl Harbor, where he, you know what I mean, everybody, the whole, I believe the whole crew, you know what I mean, they wouldn't allow a black man to, you know what I mean, operate a gun. Right. They kept him in the kitchen. Right. But you know what I mean, the whole crew had been injured or lost their life. So this black man who was kept in the kitchen, you know what I mean, he got up and manned one of the machine guns and defended that you know what I mean, defended that vessel. You know what I mean? It's us. You would think that after going through all of that, risking your life when they don't even want you, they wouldn't even put you in a position to, you know what I mean, to be able to, they don't even want you to carry a rifle. They don't even want you to operate a gun, but you risk your life anyway, and then you come home to more hate, to more oppression. You would think that we would withdraw from the military and withdraw from the police force when we see them destroying us. But you know why we don't? Because of people like Julian Cook, you know what I mean? Pastors like Julian Cook and Creflo Dollar and T.D. Jakes, you know what I mean? Who, you know what I mean? Who convince you to integrate with your oppressor and to love your oppressor and to stand side by side with your oppressor, you know what I mean? And convince you that if you don't choose to yield to your oppressor and to take the abuse, then the Lord ain't with you. It's people like that, man. Go ahead, read on.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 1, verse 8. Now there arose up a new king of Egypt, which knew not Joseph.
And this is so spiritual because Joseph became the progenitor of the so-called Puerto Rican and the Cuban races. You know what I mean? Two nations of people who we would consider Hispanic. You know what I mean? Two nations of people who are also being targeted for mass deportation by ICE. You know what I mean? The two of the many nations that are being discredited for, you know what I mean, after the DEI bill was been abolished and after, what's it called? Affirmative action has been done away with. You know what I mean? So that's so spiritual in itself, where Joseph, you know what I mean, the progenitor of two Hispanic nations, he built up America, or it's like Egypt, which America mirrors itself off of. He built up Egypt from the ground up. You know, he made sure they survived the famine, and then now a new king, a new ruler, a new president has, you know what I mean, a new ruler has arose over Egypt, like Donald Trump, which knew not Joseph. So he don't give a damn, you know what I mean? This new ruler, this new king, this new president didn't give a damn about the honorable things that Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans have done in America's military or in their police force or in this country, building them up, building the railroads, building, you know what I mean, all the architecture, you know what I mean? Working in the factories and, you know what I mean, slaving day in and day out, building this country from the ground up.
Thanks,
you know what I mean? Go ahead.
Thanks a lot. I'm just sitting here thinking and brainstorming, like you're doing deportation of our brothers, ISUPK brothers, ISUPK brothers, like where's the deportation for the Asians?
Right.
And where's the deportation for the Arabic people?
That's an excellent point.
Where's the deportation for the East Indians?
God.
You know, where's that? Where's that from? Where that executive order is at? I'm waiting for that one.
Right.
I'm letting you out. You're on screen right now. I'm waiting for that right now. Where is it going to show up?
God.
You know what I'm saying? Y'all trying to send our brothers back over to Mexico. Matter of fact, this is Texas, but all of Texas and all of Texas, but California, that's their land.
God.
You say, how you try to kick somebody out of their land? That's diabolical. That is very diabolical.
They done definitely found a way to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, and that's why. I mean, that's why, like what you said is an excellent point, and that's something that, you know what I mean, your Christian pastors is not going to consider, and the people who follow the Christian pastors, you know what I mean, who want to march, you know what I mean, who want to march in the streets and sing and record and post on Facebook, you know what I mean? They're not going to consider these things where they're trying to mass deport the so-called Hispanics and now moving to the Native Americans, which is only going to lead to so-called African Americans being mass deported. But you know what I mean? They're not going to consider Salakia. But they're not going to consider, you know what I mean? They're not going to consider these other nations who not only aren't being targeted, who aren't citizens. Not only are they not birthright citizenship, meaning not only were they not born here, but you know what I mean, they aren't even citizens. They aren't citizens at all. And they're being flown over here. You know what I mean? They're being given what's it called? They're being given what's it called?
Free housing.
It was another word, but that's pretty much what I was getting at. What'd you say? The Airbnb. What's the word? I believe stipends. They're being given money to be able to not only be able to house themselves, but they're being able to start businesses. Like you got to come over here and you got to be a laborer. You got to come over here. You got to pick fruit for you know what I mean, pennies on a dollar. You know what I mean? You gotta come over here and pick oranges and apples and grapes. You know what I mean, for 90 cents an hour. Meanwhile, they coming over here and getting free Airbnbs, getting free housing, free transportation, and vouchers for all these different things that you can't. You know what I mean? They don't even want you to get it all.
Right.
And then they're getting stipends to be able to start businesses in your neighborhoods. You know what I mean?
And you doing the crime.
Come on. Like that's what you gotta like. And it's people like it's the Christian church that prevents us from seeing that. You know what I mean? Where you want to see because your Christian church has convinced you that you're supposed to love everybody. You overlook all those different blatant truths that's right in front of you. You know what I mean? Where they show you that they hate you and they show you that they don't give a damn about you. And the same things, because you know what you could do with the stipends that they give to these other nations? You know what you could do with free, if you didn't have to pay for your living, you know what you could do as a Black, Hispanic, or Native American? Because these Hispanics, you know what I mean, I'll tell you this, you know what I mean, they've done amazing things, you know what I mean, where they live with one another and they could stretch, you know what I mean, you think a Judite, you think a Black man or woman can, you know what I mean, stretch a dollar far. You know what I mean? These Hispanics, you know what I mean, they work all day and then they come home, they live with one another and they make their money stretch. Right. You know what I mean? So imagine if our brothers and sisters didn't have to, we got the same things that the Ukrainians got and the Chinese get. You know what I mean? Where they get not only their housing paid for, but they get stipends to start businesses in your neighborhood. You know what you could do with that? You would rule the world. And that's why they're mass deport, like the brother said, they're mass deporting you and they're hunting you, but they're bringing these other nations over and allowing them to prosper over you. Go ahead, read on.
8, or 9.
Yeah, whatever the next verse was.
Yeah, 9.
So this new king that rose up, he knew not Joseph. Just like Trump, he don't know, you know what I mean? He don't give a damn about the works that Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans have done in this country. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
It's the book of Exodus, chapter 1, verse 9. And he said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we.
See, that's exactly what Trump is saying. When he looks at Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you know what I mean? He's looking at them and like they're taking over the country. We got a mass deporter. We got to build a wall. We gotta get him out of here. They're, you know what I mean? He calling them all sorts of diabolical names and slurs and, you know what I mean, lying on our brothers and sisters, calling them super predators when he's the super predator.
Right.
Calling them criminals when he's a 34 count felon.
Right.
You know what I mean? You saying they gonna be, if the people of Israel, you know what I mean, these Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are becoming more mighty in this country. Go ahead.
Verse 10. Come on, let us deal wisely with them.
See, this is exactly what Trump is doing right now. See, what he thinks, he don't think is wise to keep, even though Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans built this country, even though your Hispanic brothers and sisters are used for a lot of the labor, the manual labor that it takes to keep America running, he doesn't think that it's wise to keep you in America. He doesn't think it's wise to empower you or to employ you or to continue to allow you to be over in this land that they stole from you.
Right.
He said, let us deal wisely with them. Let's see what he thinks it means to deal wisely with the children of Israel. Go ahead.
These they multiplied.
Uh-huh.
And it comes to pass that when they're falling out of any war, they join also into our enemies and fight against us. And so get them, get them up out of the land.
See, Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans have always been an enemy to our oppressors, or to America. And what your oppressor doesn't want to see is for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans to come together and join with one another. Right. You know what I mean? You see all these diabolical things that your oppressor is doing to Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans together. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are being mass incarcerated together, mass unalived together. You know what I mean? Ostracized together. You know what I mean? All these different things. And the last thing they want to see is for all of us to join together. So that's why they got to separate us. That's why they got to deport our Hispanic brothers and sisters. And now you got Black people saying, why should we care about the Hispanics? You know what I mean? Why should we give a damn about them? That's exactly what they want. And it's right here. Salaki, please.
Salaki, if I could. Why are all these Christians, so-called Christians, hating Mexicans? I thought God told you to love everybody.
Right.
I thought God taught you to love the stranger and feed him and clothe him. Isn't that what this country says it promotes? No, you hate Mexicans because your slave master hates Mexicans. That's your God.
Right.
Whatever Donald Trump or a Caucasian man over you says, that's what you do. It's not about the love that you would lie to me and tell me you promote. It's all about that oppressor that's in your mind.
Right.
That's what the Bible calls the mark of the beast. Your mind is seared with a hot iron to do whatever he desires. Now, the Mexicans are the reason you can eat, the reason you don't have to be the slave in this country. Donald Trump said that Mexicans are taking Black jobs. What are Mexicans doing? Right. Mexicans are the backbone of the agricultural industry in this country, the reason why grapes and eggs are so cheap and strawberries and things that you can grow out of season are so cheap. Donald Trump thinks that that's your job.
Right.
That's what he thinks Black people's jobs are. And now Black people are so convinced against their own people, like Cat Williams, to hate Mexicans. I don't want to hear about you love Jesus Christ if you don't love your brother. If you don't love your real brother in Christ. The so-called Mexicans and Hispanics in Honduras, Venezuela, Guatemala, Panama, Uruguay, Argentina, and so many other countries. Salaki.
No, what he said was damn true.
It's heavy. It's like it with me. Like that's why the Christian church. That's why it's so diabolical because they don't teach the Bible. They don't teach the truth. Because the reason I say that because they don't teach who your brother is.
Right.
They say your brother is a brother that outside your house. He just killed a Black man. Right. That's who your brother is. Yeah, you gotta love the murderer. You know what I'm saying? But they don't understand that your brother is from the tribe of Israel. You know what I'm saying? Jacob. But they don't teach that in the Bible because they teach everybody in the churches they were Gentiles. Right. You know what I'm saying? So that's crazy. That's what you said because we suffer from a lack of knowledge. That's why that's the reason why we're in the predicament now, because we suffer from a lack of knowledge. We think everybody is our brother. Your brother doesn't harm you. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't murder you. You know what I'm saying? And that's heavy what the brother said. That's heavy.
Now give him a hand. It's so interesting. Like both of y'all just brought up some excellent points. Like, isn't it interesting that Christian church? Like, isn't it interesting that the Christian church won't acknowledge that Trump is a Christian. He's a Christian. Those white supremacists that was in Lincoln Heights a couple of days ago. They were Christians.
Right.
The KKK are Christians.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? What when Julian, I keep forgetting his damn name. When the damn pastor, you know what I mean, he made his cameo when them brothers stood up against them white supremacists. Where was the we need to love one another?
Right.
Where was
right.
where was the you know what I mean? Where was all of that? Yeah.
None of that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, none of that.
Where was that? He was there to get his little cameo though, to get his little publicity and try to make it to try to spearhead or try to commandeer, you know what I mean, the courage that these black men and women that live in that neighborhood showed by coming against their oppressor and acknowledging who hates them the most. I mean, they were there to get their little cameo in.
Right.
Well, where was we at? Go ahead, verse 11, I believe.
That's it.
So what you got to understand, everything that you seeing today, again, is biblical. Everything that you're seeing in this earth today is biblical. But your Christian church, for the sake of trying to be just like your oppressor, for the sake of trying to be like your oppressor and join into your oppressor's society, they're not going to teach you what's in this Bible.
Right.
Like we just read, as a matter of fact, we didn't read Romans 15 yet.
15:4?
Yeah. Let's read that real quick. So what you got to understand, your Christian pastors, because they refuse to teach you the truth according to this Bible, they have been terrible watchmen for you.
Right.
Well, they're supposed to watch over. They're supposed to be the so-called spiritual authority of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, so-called spiritual authority over the Bible. But they won't tell you the things that are in this Bible, and the things that are in this Bible is prophecy.
Right.
They won't tell you how important it is. You know what I mean? They won't tell you how important it is for you to understand the things in this Bible. They won't read you this. Go ahead, read what you got.
This is the book of Romans, chapter 15, verse 4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we, through patience and comfort of the scriptures, might have hope.
See, what we just read in Exodus, the first chapter, is exactly what you're seeing in America right now. Where you see Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans have always built and been the backbone of America. You know what I mean? Since America's inception, we've always been the backbone of America. But there rose a new king, there rose a new ruler, a new president that didn't give a damn about none of that. And he saw how powerful and how great Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are starting to become in this country, how strong we are, and how big our families are becoming, and how we're starting to come together and love one another. And he saw all of that, and he was like, "Now we got to separate them, because if war falls out, you know what I mean? Because we're in the midst of World War III. Don't forget that. I know it could be overshadowed by all the all the little things that's been happening, or all the big things rather that's been happening in 2025. You know what I mean? But don't forget, we are still in the midst of World War III.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it is brewing. So Trump is afraid that if a war fall out, that we're going to come together and gather together, and we're going to love one another. Just like it said in Exodus, the first chapter, if any war fall out, then they will gather with our enemies. Who are the enemies of America? Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. And he's afraid that we're going to gather together. See, what you don't realize is that your Christian church, because they won't teach you what's in this Bible, they are not telling you the things that they're preventing you from being able to see these things coming. Go ahead and read that from the top again.
Okay. This is the book of Romans, chapter 15, verse 4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning.
For all the things that were written aforetime, Old Testament, New Testament, the Apocrypha, all the things, all the prophecies that's in that Bible, all those things are written for your learning.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
That we, through patience and comfort of the scriptures, might have hope.
See, you reading and understanding these scriptures is what's going to give Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans hope. because you see how, you know what I mean, this new ruler, you see how Trump is coming against Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, but you also know that in the Bible it says that Babylon, the great whore that sits on many waters, will fall.
Right.
That's what it says in the Bible as well. Like it says, you know what I mean, the Gadites, you know what I mean, in Genesis, the 49th chapter, it says, Gad, a troop shall overcome. But in the end, they will overcome their enemies. You know what I mean? You see those things, and you see how we ended up in this condition and how we're destroyed and how we suffer these curses. But it also says if we are to turn back to the Most High and repent from, you know what I mean, repent from our sins, from transgressing the law, then the Most High will be with us and he will redeem his people.
Right.
But we don't know that. All we know is we shall overcome, and we should link hands and link arms with our oppressor. And that's why we stay destroyed. That's why we stay docile. And that's why we don't see it coming. You know what I mean? That's why we don't see it coming when our oppressor comes to destroy us. That's why we don't see it coming when the Lord's sword comes and, you know what I mean, his judgment comes on our people, because our watchmen don't blow the trumpet. It's like, if anybody else want to bring anything up, please.
Right, if I could. What you're saying is so on point, because you are only, your spirit in your mind and in your body is telling you to resist this oppressor.
God.
But the watchmen, the people over you, the guardians over this community, your pastor, your priest, your Dr. Umar, I don't know who's that civil rights leader? Sharpton. Al Sharptons and all of them, they are telling you to join with your oppressor and beg and plead with him to accept you. When your nature, it's in you to separate from him. You should never want to accept your murderer. You should never want to accept the person who's wronged you unless they desire, they make it they want to repair the bonds. A lot of people want to use the word reparations. They're looking for cash reparations. FBA people are so desperate for reparations that they want to separate from Mexicans, Jamaicans, Haitians, and Dominicans, and Puerto Ricans, and everybody else. But that's not how you actually get the respect of your oppressor, the way he wants to repair the breach that he's made. You get the respect of your oppressor like how we do on the ISUPK under Commanding General Yana. You stand up and you tell him of his crimes. And you say you want nothing to do with him. And you stand up like a man, and if he wants to apologize, then we will let him apologize. I pray you understand.
I'm right. You understand. It's so heavy. That's exactly what we was talking about earlier. Like, we think that, you know what I mean, we want to be accepted in America so much that when we see the oppression of our brothers and sisters, you know what I mean, we willing to separate from them because we're poor. Like the brother just said, because we're poor, and we think because we want a crumb, because we want reparations, because we want, you know what I mean, certain jobs and certain opportunities. Right. You know what I mean, we'll separate from our brothers because we think that when we see them in our neighborhoods, or when they standing next to us, or when we think that they're just another, you know what I mean, they're somebody to compete with. They're just another mouth to feed. You know what I mean? That's why when you see what's going on with ICE, and they're going to our Hispanic brothers and sisters' jobs, going to our Hispanic brothers and sisters' schools, you know what I mean, to go hunt them down and mass deport them. Black people, you know what I mean, we look like, why should we give a damn about Hispanics? Why should we give a damn? They never gave a damn about us, which is absolutely not true. Right. But that's the reason why we think that way, because we're poor. You know what I mean? And what you got to realize, Black, Hispanic, and Native American man, or Native American and Black man specifically, you know what I mean, you see that ICE is mass deporting Hispanics, but they're coming after Native Americans as well. Right. You know what I mean? And where you gonna mass? Exactly. Right. Yeah, that's crazy. And where you gonna mass deport? Where you gonna
Trail of Tears?
Exact. Give them a hand. You know what I mean? like where do you? That's an oxymoron in itself. Like where do you deport a Native American?
Right.
You know what I mean? From how do you deport a Native American out of America? You know what I mean? So if they're willing to attack Native Americans in that way, you know what I mean? What makes you think as a black so-called African American that you're safe? What you got to realize is, like the brother just said, the way for us to, you know what I mean, the way for us to fight this isn't to separate, man. And we're not gonna get a crumb from our oppressor by separating from one another and trying to demonize one another like your oppressor does. We could see that didn't work in Exodus, the first chapter. You know what I mean? When they didn't give a damn about how we built up Egypt. You know what I mean? When that new king arose, when that new president arose, he just was like, let's get rid of all of them. And they set taskmasters and they wanted to mass what's the word? They wanted to put sexual reproductive health, quote unquote, on our sisters, you know what I mean, and stop us from having babies, much like how they do now. You know what I mean? So what you got to realize is you hating your own brothers and sisters isn't going to make your oppressor love you. And you working and you laboring for your oppressor isn't going to make them love you as well or respect you anymore. It's like you, please.
Right. So like if I could, I would like to really big up this brother. He's on top of it. He's trying to educate his people. And I pray they listen, because this oppressor doesn't look at black people any better than they look at Hispanics. They just have a better reason. A better reason to oppress them in certain ways. There will be, if you wonder in your mind, where are they going to send the Native Americans? I would, in my mind, I'm wondering, well, how you going to kill a Mexican now? This is Mexico.
Right.
It used to be Mexico less than a person ago, 100 years ago. They're going to send that Mexican to the fields. They're going to send that Native American to the fields, to a McDonald's, and I'm not making this up, to a McDonald's to flip burgers. They have Mexican little boys, 10-year-old boys and girls, flipping burgers at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. before school. Somehow they're going to school at the same time.
Good night.
Working for free, slave labor, to keep this evil country running. That's what's going to happen to blacks and Hispanics and natives everywhere. And you think that it's better for you to disassociate with those children, to disassociate with those Hispanics and natives right now, because you believe that that same oppressor who does that to them won't do it to you. You're sorely mistaken, because right after those people decrease, that little stock of people working that McDonald's, working that field slows down, we're going next. We're going next. I'm not saying you, like black people weren't in the UPK. That's the intention of our oppressor for everybody here. What are you going to do? Are you going to try to cleave to your oppressor, or will you try to cleave with your brother? You could just create your own city. How about that? I don't want to eat from the white man anymore. Right. I want to wake up. I told my rib something recently. I said, I would rather spend the next 3 years with no electricity if it means that I don't need white people.
Right.
I don't care. I don't need this cell phone or whatever. We can do kerosene lanterns, fire stoves, building up houses one by one to make sure we don't, if anything ever happens and the white man has to turn a switch on the quantum computer, that we don't die, that we don't starve. And that's where we're at as a nation. Because we are so desperately in need of the oppressor's assistance, we don't think about what it would take to sustain ourselves as a nation. So
what he said was heavy, man. I mean, we just, I don't know what else to do for you. We just read it right there.
I pray you understand.
I pray you understand. You know what I mean? I pray brothers and sisters have been listening. You know what I mean? I pray brothers and sisters actually, you know what I mean, just if you don't believe what we say, you know what I mean, whatever the case is, at least believe your eyes. Right. You know what I mean?
Right.
You see what's going on. And you see that if you see what's going on, I pray that you understand that it's not going to miss you. It's not going to overlook you. You know what I mean? And that's what we hope. Instead of coming together and and doing what these scriptures say so that we can get out of this hell, we just pray that it misses us. Like when we saw George Floyd and you know what I mean, what's the Jordan Neely and what's the sister that just lost her life in Dallas in her house? Sonia Massey. You know what I mean? We see that wasn't in Dallas, was it?
That wasn't
I'm thinking Chicago. But you know what I mean, when we see things like that, when we see Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans losing their lives at the hand of our oppressor, you know what I mean, we just hope that it misses us. But what you got to understand that it's not gonna miss you, especially now that you got an open, blatant, you know what I mean, racist in office who is galvanizing other racists in all these different you know what I mean, all these different cities and all these different towns. You know what I mean? Never mind, I ain't gonna do that. But you know what I mean? You see how this racist is galvanizing, like Commander General Yohana prophesied. He's galvanizing all these different racists in all these different states and towns and cities. You know what I mean? It's not going to miss you. Right. It's not going to miss you. It's coming to your town. It's coming to your city. And the best thing to do isn't to hope that your city just gets overlooked. You know what I mean? You don't hear about Cincinnati for nothing. I'm gonna just keep it a being with you. You don't hear about Cincinnati for nothing. But you know what I mean. This is, you know what I mean. This is something that, and I'm just talking. Well, never mind. But you know what I mean. It's coming to your city, and the Lord is going to show you who or what you need to do. He's going to show you that you need to separate. He's going to show you that these other nations aren't for you. And I pray that you listen. I pray that you understand. And I pray that you're preparing. You know what I mean? Make sure you like, share, subscribe to the channel. Again, make sure you share with your family and friends. You know what I mean? Because right now, like we just read before, it is high time for us to wake out of sleep, man. It's high time for us to understand what time it is and understand that that it's time for us to come together, and it's time for us to separate from our oppressors who blatantly hate you. You know what I mean? So make sure you share it with your family, with your friends. If you disagree, share it anyway. You know what I mean? Maybe you could, you know what I mean? Maybe you could, hell, educate me. You know what I mean? I don't know. We're going to see. But share whether you disagree or not, whether you agree, disagree or not. And, you know what I mean? If you're ever, you know what I mean, you got any questions or comments or anything like that, and we're not online or we're not live at the moment, you can always hit that QR code in the corner. And then morning, noon, and night, there'll be a brother in that chat to answer all your questions and solve all your problems. All right. With that, it's Imadium, which means to stand. We'll give a courtesy salute to the brothers. Revision Madhu Shabbat. Imadium. Barak. Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Ragatham. Yadimatah. Sar. We're going to turn to face the sisters. Give a courtesy salute to the sisters. Revision Madhu Shabbat. Imadium. Barak. Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. Yadimatah. Class dismissed.